Blender 2.93 to select everything, left mouse button and drag, X, delete. Go to the top view by pressing 7 and let's check the unit of measurement here in scene, units, and metric. That's what we're gonna use for our scene. Shift A, mesh plane to add a plane. S, X to lock in the X-axis. And to open this tab, item and dimensions to check the dimensions. S to scale it down or up, but in this case is to scale it down. To switch from object to edit mode, press tab, and let's add some loop cuts by pressing Ctrl R. In this case I'm gonna add 5, so Ctrl R 5 and click to confirm. Drag to select the top part, O to access the proportional editing, and let's change from smooth to sharp. S, X to change the size of proportional editing, just scroll the wheel of your mouse. The same thing in the bottom part. Ctrl R again to add another loop cut. In this case, we're gonna add only one. Click to confirm. 3 to go to the side view. G and Z. Change the proportional editing to smooth. GZ. Now let's drag here and select the UV editor. We are in the top view by pressing 7. Tab to go to the edit mode. A to select everything. U and project from view because we wanna the projection for this view from the top view. A, S to scale, and object mode, tab, right click, shade smooth. Let's bring the origin of the object to the bottom, drag to select, Shift S, cursor to selected, object mode, to bring the origin to the bottom, right click, set origin to the 3D cursor. Okay, and let's apply the scale because we scaled this object. To create a new material, go to the shader editor, new, let's name it grass. Shift A now to texture, image texture, connect the color to the base color because we are gonna use only the color, open and search for your file. Mine is here. Let's change to the preview mode because we want to see how it works. Tab A, UV editor, and here you have your texture. To move it, press G, and to scale it, S. To rotate, R. Now let's duplicate it 10 times. But first let's rename it the plane to grass. Double click, grass. And to duplicate it, Shift D, and keep pressing Shift D till you have 10 copies of it. Let's save by go to File, Save As, search where you want to save it, and I'm gonna name mine Grass. To change the size of every blade of grass, just press S, Y, or X, or both. Our goal here is to change the size of every blade of grass. So you don't have to follow me along, you can do the way you want. Just pay attention that we want some bigger than the others and some smaller. So 7, and now select the second, tab to edit mode, and change to the second texture. Do that with all blades of grass to render the texture of the grass. This way it's gonna be amazing in the render. Just keep pressing tab to go to the edit mode, G to move, and S to scale it, till you do that for all the 10 blades. Nice, it's done. Now let's go to the side view and rotate it by pressing R, X, and 90. Select the first one, go to the edit mode, side view, select sharp in the proportional editing, remember it must be on, drag the top part, and G to change it, G and move. Now object mode, select the second, same thing, drag to select the top part, G, and do that with all the blades of grass to make it random in the shape. It's done. They are all different. You can see it. Now it's time to save. File, save. Left mouse button and drag to select everything. Control A, and let's apply the rotation, but we can apply the scale and rotation at the same time. Okay, that's it. Now let's make a group of it. So select everything. If it's not selected yet, press M and new collection. Let's call it grass clump. Our group has been created. In my opinion, our blades of grass are too wide, so let's scale them in the x-axis by pressing S and X. Make this for all your blades of grass. I decided to make another group. I'm gonna to replace that one. So select everything, M, new collection, and clump. I just did that because I really didn't like the name. That's the only reason, but you can keep that way. So take a look, the group is there. So now let's add a plane by pressing Ctrl A plane. Let's move it by pressing GY, moving the Y axis. And let's go to the modifier tab and add a array modifier. We are going to give it some factor in the x to give some distance to it. I think it's enough, and we're gonna need like five planes. Another array. Let's add another array. Now let's change the factor x to 0 and the y to 2.5, the same in the x above. I think that's 3 is enough. Now let's go to the edit mode, right click, subdivide 10 times the number of cuts. That's enough. Now change from object mode to weight paint because we wanna make a group. F to resize the brush size. You can see that when we paint here in the middle, it paints all the copies. Now here you can see it created a group for us. So let's rename it clump. Okay, let's go back to the object mode. This way we can keep working in our scene. And let's apply the modifier. Apply. Okay. Nice, right? And now we are gonna use that group to create our grass. In the particle system, add another particle system, a new particle system, and rename it clump. We need to name it and on both here and change from emitter to hair. Check advanced. You can see that we have our hair here. We are going to replace it with the group of grass. Here in source, change from jittered to random because grass is random. In the vertex group, let's select the group that we created with the weight painting. Okay, you can see that it's only in the middle. That's exactly where we want it. And now you can see that our group of grass is there that we name it clump. In the render, let's change from path to collection, and you can see that we have the clump collection, and in the collection, let's change to clamp. Now the hair has been replaced by the grass. Let's scale it up. 3.520 is okay. In the rotation, let's change. You can see that in velocity hair it doesn't work. So let's change to global Z, and look, I just changed it here. This way you can see that it doesn't work if we play. So global Z in this case is the best option. And then we just randomize the grass. You can see that we already have some clumps of grass. I forgot something. And here in the scale randomness, you can increase the amount of randomness. This way you have bigger and smaller blades of grass. Every time we want the particle system to be a real object, we need to convert it. In this case, we needed to go to the modifier tab and convert. Now they are real objects, not only instances, but you can see that we have still both. So we need to go to the particle system tab and delete it. I mean press minus, okay? And now select the planes X and delete because we are going not to need them anymore. Now we need to select all the grass from this one, shift and select one, Control J to join, but you can see that we have a problem here. I decided to leave this problem to show you how to solve it, okay? Select everything, go to the object, relations, make single user, object and data. Now it's gonna work, okay? Same thing. Select everything, shift, select only one, Control J, select, shift, Control J, and you keep doing that for all those clumps. If you still didn't understand, you just need to select them by left mouse button and drag. Then you press shift to keep them selected and select one of those blades of grass. It doesn't matter which one, you just need to select one. Only then you press Control J to join, because now they are separated blades of grass. So we need to join them. Okay. I forgot to turn on the screencast keys. If you cannot see or don't understand what I say, you can pay attention to the left corner of the screen and you can see every everything that I press, every key that I press, okay? Amazing, all done. Let's make a group of it. Select everything, press M. In this case, I pressed Ctrl J. You can make it both ways. Ctrl J or M, new collection, okay? And name it. I name it my grass. Now let's work on the materials. First thing, go to the viewport shading and add a sun lamp by pressing Shift A, light, sun lamp, move it up GZ RY to rotate it in the Y axis. Okay, and now let's increase the sun energy to 3, the strength to 3. Okay, now you can select any clump of grass and select shader editor. Here we have our basic setup from the previous scene. Shift A, shader, add shader to add another shader, because now we have only principled BSDF. Shift A again, shader, translucent BSDF, because we wanted the light to pass through the grass like in the real world. So you can see that I plugged this shader in the second shader and the color to the color. Okay, you can see now. Um, Now let's increase the roughness value because we don't want our grass to be like a mirror. And let's move here to give some more space. Shift A, color, and mix RGB because we wanna mix the texture and a color ramp. So plug the color of the mix in the color of the translucent and the plug in the second. Shift A, converter, color ramp, and plug it to the first, to the color 1 and the texture in the color 2. Shift A, input, and object info. Now let's plug the random to the fact because we want to random the colors. You will understand in a bit, and change the blend mode from mix to overlay. Okay, and you can see now how it is. Here, if you press this plus button, you add more colors to it. Okay, I have 5, so select the first one and choose a shade of gray. You can decide any one you want. Second, the same thing, a more yellowish, I chose. Third, and you keep choosing shades of gray and yellow, you know. If you don't understand, you will have a list with all the colors to follow along. Okay, amazing. You can see that now we have some random in the color, and you can play with the factor. Okay, so in my opinion, this amount is okay. 0.758, and you can keep playing with the colors if you want. Now let's test if the grass works. Add a plane, Shift A, mesh plane, and let's make kind of a terrain only to test the grass S, and you can scale the size you want. I scale it 10. Right click, subdivide, 50. The number of cuts, 50. Okay. Now in the modifier tab, add a displace modifier, a new texture, and if you click there, you go to the displace texture. Let's change to clouds. Right click, shade smooth. In the modifier tab, let's decrease the strength to about 0.1. Let's see if it works. In my opinion, it's okay because 0.1 or 0.2, you decide. Um, and now let's add the particle system. Okay, we don't even need to rename it because we're going only to test. Hair, advanced, like we did previously. Change from jittered to random. It's so difficult to say this word. In the render tab, collection, and select grass, the grass group. You can see that it's nice already, but let's select the children. But first the rotation from velocity to global Z. No, I didn't like it. And you can keep testing here till you find something you like. Okay? No, no. Normal. Let me see. Normal, it's okay for me because the grass is not totally straight. Okay, okay. And here in children, let's select interpolated and change the render amount to 30, because in the view part it shows us 10, but it's gonna render 30. Okay, and in my opinion it's amazing. It looks like grass. You can control your sun lamp to see how it works. Okay, take a look. Amazing, right? Select the sun, X to delete it, go to the front view by pressing 1, Shift A camera, Control Alt 0, GX, Control Alt 0 to bring the camera to the view, R and Y to rotate it. Let's move this collection away from the camera. Now in the World tab, go to the World tab in the shader editor. World. We have this. First go to preferences and search for Wrangler and activate a node Wrangler. Okay, now if you press Ctrl T, it's gonna give you a environment texture and everything. So find your HDR. I'm gonna use this even in middle. Let's say in the, don't forget to change from EV to cycles here in the render engine. Okay, and in color management, check high contrast. It's the best. And in the world tab, or here, let's increase the strength to 2. Now in the render tab, you can leave at CPU or change it to GPU if you have. But first you need to go to Edit, Preferences, System, and check CUDA and your video card. Now in the render samples, let's choose 300. I think it's enough. Okay, and press F12. Let wait till it's rendered and then save it. It's done.